The North Wilkesboro Speedway, the last short track race of 1991 in NASCAR Winston Cup racing, and the cry coming in here was, can anybody stop Harry Gant? Hello everyone, welcome to Inside Winston Cup Racing. We have highlights of the Tyson Holly Farms 400 and much more on this edition of Inside Winston Cup Racing, and here's what's coming up.
With 7 laps remaining in the Tyson Holly Farms 400, Dale Earnhardt took advantage of some failing brakes on Harry Gant's Oldsmobile and snapped his win streak at 4. We'll show you all the action from the 400 here in North Wilkesboro coming up.
Veteran Busch Series driver Jimmy Hensley feels he is just now getting to the top of his game, and his recent Winston Cup runs in the Team 3 Pontiacs have proven his point. We'll talk to Jimmy about his steadily successful career.
We'll also take a look at the family ties in Winston Cup competition. The NASCAR circuit is a racing reunion for the Waltrips, Allisons, Jarretts, and more. You'll meet the people that make racing a family feud.
Today's show is brought to you by Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately? By Miller Genuine Draft, cold filtered for real draft taste. So get out of the old, get into the cold. By Goodyear, maker of the world's most successful tires, the Goodyear Eagles. And by Haviland Formula 3 Motor Oil. Add more life to your car.
One manufacturer has more NASCAR victories than anyone. More NHRA Pro Stock victories than anyone. More consecutive IMSA GTO victories at Daytona than anyone. And more off-road victories in the last 5 years than anyone. That manufacturer is Ford. No wonder nobody enjoys the weekend like Ford.
In America, your car is not just something you own. It's a part of your life. To give your car complete protection, Texaco has developed Haviland Formula 3 Motor Oil. With not one but 3 kinds of protection against heat stress, starting friction, and engine dirt. Haviland Formula 3. Add more life to your car.
All of these championship-winning drivers have one thing in common: Goodyear Racing Eagles. The race-winning technology that's found in the Goodyear Racing Eagles can also be found in the world's best-selling line of high-performance street tires, Goodyear Eagle Street Radials. The champions know, and it's why we say the best tires in the world have Goodyear written all over them.
Full roast out here. We're 1,000 miles from anywhere. Is that a ship? No one will save us.
3 Miller Genuine Drafts.
Filtered Miller Genuine Draft. For those who've discovered its real draft taste, the world is a very cool place.
Coming into the Tyson Holly Farms 400, Harry Gant had won 4 NASCAR Winston Cup races in a row, but he had not won a Busch Bowl Award since 1987. Well, he changed that here for this race. And what's he going to do, Randy, for the rest of the field? That man's starting up front.
Ned, there's no question about it. They're not calling Harry Gant Mr. September for nothing. In fact, if he captured the Holly Farms 400, it would be a clean sweep of September's events. And the media pressure has been now lifted from the Winston Cup Championship contenders, and the focus is on Harry Gant. In fact, Dale Earnhardt, who is seeking his 5th Winston Cup Championship, said in the paper prior to this race, you might as well concede this win to Harry Gant.
Today's Winston Cup highlights are brought to you by Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately?
Win or lose, Harry Gant's streak of 4 consecutive Winston Cup wins in the month of September captured the imagination of a nation. The record crowd of 43,500 wedged their way into Wilkesboro on Sunday, hoping to witness number 5. From his pole position, Harry had the field covered from the time the green flag fell. Gant once again wheeled the same car that got him to victory lane the previous 4 times. For the first 90 circuits, Harry and his Oldsmobile cut through the competition like a hot knife through butter. On lap 95, only 12 of the 33 starters had been able to steer clear of putting themselves a lap down. Joe Ruttman unfortunately crashed in turns 3 and 4, but that saved many more in jeopardy of joining the list of lapped cars by Gant. Davey Allison and his Ford was found in second much of the first half, but even his biggest fight wasn't for position. While running behind Harry Gant and Alan Kowicki, Davey dueled with the lap car of Ernie Irvin. The two made contact repeatedly. Davey suffered damage after this exchange before finally finding his way by. Ernie's day got worse when he collected the turn 1 wall on lap 167. He would finish dead last. Richard Petty and Chad Little got a little too close coming out of turn 2 and then collected each other on the backstretch. The King attempted to go over the top of Little's car before eventually going through the grass to bring out caution number 4. But it wasn't until Joe Ruttman and Rick Wilson found each other for the second time on the afternoon that is when Gant lost his lead. After pit stops, Morgan Shepherd showed the way in his Ford for 41 laps. But Gant got by once again, and with only 106 to go, it looked like Mr. September was there to stay. But a final caution brought the field to the pits. Gant got out first, and it looked like he needed only a little in the way of brakes to bag his 5th straight. But suddenly he needed more than that. With 8 laps left, his brakes gave way, and so did his streak. Dale Earnhardt, who started 16th, became the only man to make his way around Harry the entire day. Harry was able to hang on to second, but it was Earnhardt who emerged in victory lane for the first time since taking a win in Talladega in late July.
Yeah, we got 4 more in the series here. We got 4 more games to play. So, we really, it doesn't take all the pressure off, and it's not over. 100 points is not that much lead, and there's, like I say, 4 races. Anything can happen. But I do think it took some pressure off us and put some more pressure on them to make things happen. And, Charlotte's a good racetrack for Ricky and me, and then Rockinham's a real good racetrack for Ricky. Phoenix, we were good there last time, so we're going to see what happens.
On Tuesday, following the Tyson Holly Farms 400 in his hometown of Level Cross, North Carolina, the King, Richard Petty, held his long-awaited press conference concerning his 30-year career and future in the sport of Winston Cup racing.
I'm going to finish up this year. I'm going to run every race there is next year. The deal is that it will be my last year next year, and it will be known as a Fan Appreciation Tour. That's going to be the name of the tour that we're going to do. It's not a farewell tour because I'm not going anywhere. It's a Fan Appreciation Tour. Without the fans, you all wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be here. STP, Pontiac, all our sponsors would not be here. So after 34 years, I figured that I can take the time, and all our sponsors can take the time to go to the fans or stay with the fans and say, look, we appreciate the 34, 35 years that you've been involved with racing, that we're saying thank you back to the fans. That's really what the whole situation is.
Well, it's nice to know Richard Petty is going to run one more full season for us fans, and we'll be here to document his final laps behind the wheel next year. Well, we need to take a short break. When we come back, you'll meet the Virginia gentleman, Jimmy Hensley.
We got a problem. Any ideas?
I've got a contact, sir.
Well, get on it then.
Secure the area.
Get him here now.
Coach 2, position A. Reverse 3 and hold. He's here.
Let's roll! Go, go, go!
Where'd you find him? He's been with the organization for a while.
Nice job, sir.
With years of training behind them, Napa technicians provide a secret service everyone should know about.
Only one wiper blade has the aerodynamic shape that gives you perfect rain sweeping pressure even at performance speeds. Aerofoil, the leading edge in wiper technology.
For years, you've heard me talk about the fine quality of Plastic Coat spray paints. Well, this year, Plastic Coat has asked Indy 500 winner Bobby Rahal to join me. Yeah, and I couldn't be happier. It's nice to finally have someone help me out. I mean, there's so much to say about Plastic Coat spray paints. The quality, the variety, but my favorite features, without a doubt, have to be how well they cover and how long they last.
Hi, I'm Kathy Mattea. What do you do with your empty cans of food, old household cleaners, newspapers, and empty glass jars? If you're throwing them away, you're dangerous, and you're responsible for poisoning our water, you're causing us to run out of landfill space, and you're destroying our natural resources. If you want your kids and the earth to have a future, you've got to stop throwing it all away. Recycle. Be a hero to the world.
Get starstruck.
Lucky moon, stay out tonight. Sunlight, stay away. When you get to the heart, I'm just a country boy at heart.
Country's biggest stars and brightest newcomers shine on the Statler Brothers Show. Premieres Saturday night at 9, 8 Central on TNN, the Nashville Network.
Man, I could use a vacation.
Join Rusty Wallace for the ultimate vacation. Enter the Miller Genuine Draft Racing Cruise Sweepstakes and win a week-long all-expense-paid cruise to the Caribbean aboard the Norwegian Cruise Line Seaward, or one of hundreds of other prizes. To enter, call 1-900-288-4TNN. Calls cost 95 cents per minute, or send your name, address, and phone number on a postcard to this address. You must be 21 or older to win. Telephone entry deadline October 28th. Postcard deadline October 30th.
See you in the Caribbean.
Winners announced November 10th on Inside Winston Cup Racing.
One of the nicest people in all of auto racing is Jimmy Hensley of Horse Pasture, Virginia. He's been one of the top drivers in the NASCAR Busch Grand National Series since it started and has won a lot of races in that series. And a couple of years ago, in 1989, he got a shot in a Winston Cup car, Dale Earnhardt's car at Martinsville, Virginia, and he sat on the pole when Earnhardt couldn't get there because of a storm. Well, he hadn't had much going in Winston Cup racing since then, even though he wants to get into that series. But recently, he was tapped to drive a good car.
Well, probably the first Winston Cup ride I had was for Junior Dunleavy back in the mid-'70s, I guess. And I finished 5th at Martinsville. Of course, competition back then is not quite as keen as it is today. So, you know, that was a good run for us back then. But, you know, I think Sunday proved we have the ability and all to run up front. And, you know, a whole lot of cars finished in the lead lap Sunday, and we were one of them. So that was, I think, a big accomplishment.
Jimmy Hensley's been producing big accomplishments his entire career. It was always easy to find his red, white, and blue Crown Fast Fair Oldsmobile running at the front of the Busch Grand National Circuit. Crown got out of racing at the end of the 1990 racing season, leaving Hensley searching for sponsorship. He received a little support from Golden Gallon this year, but the team has made ends meet almost the entire season out of their own pocket. Despite this, Hensley has enjoyed one of his best seasons ever, currently 3rd in points.
It's a team effort. You know, Bobby King, the guy in the crew, does a super job. Don Beverly, our owner, he's certainly provided us with stuff we needed this year, you know, out of his own pocket. And we're getting a little help from Oldsmobile. But, you know, like I say, we could use some extra money. We wanted to build 2 new cars this year, and we wound up running the same cars we had last year. So just things like that, I think, is hurt us a little bit. And I'm real proud of the way we've handled the situation this year. Like I say, I think I've led more races than anybody. So I don't know about the number of laps, but I mean the number of races, I think I've led more. And it just says a lot for the team in itself. Me, the crew, and the owner and all. We try to do our best, and I think that's shown this year.
His determination and will to win is evident this season. Hensley has racked up 4 poles and 3 victories, all without a major sponsor. His desire and optimistic outlook is always present. He's been dubbed the Virginia Gentleman, and everyone knows it. But there are few who really know the story behind the nickname.
Well, that goes back a long ways. I was running up Kingsport, Tennessee, back when it started. Really not sure exactly how it got started. I think it's over a qualifying deal that another driver thought
that he was faster than I was, and they give me the pole or something. So I switched. You know, I started on the outside and let him start on the pole, and I still outrun him at night.
Outrunning people is something Jimmy's very good at. Since the Busch Grand National Division came into its own in 1982, Hensley has racked up 118 top 10 finishes, 60 top 5 finishes, and 10 victories. It's just another day at the office for Jimmy. He's been climbing in race cars for over 25 years.
I started in the modified division back in the mid-'60s. I ran for Jimmy Hensley, which Chuck drives for now. He's my uncle. And we ran, you know, South Boston, Richmond, places like that back then, and Winston-Salem, Bowling Green Stadium. And then in '70 moved up to Late Model Sportsman, which is really now what the Grand National is. And I've been racing that pretty much since 1970s.
His driving ability was good enough to land him in the seat of the Team 3 Pontiac the past 2 weeks. He drove the car at Martinsville and finished the race 10th, the car's best finish. He turned around last week at North Wilkesboro, a track he hasn't been on since 1985, and finished 11th. For Hensley, the opportunity to work with Barry Dodson was reason enough to get in the car.
It's a good team, just being able to work with Barry Dodson. You know, I mean, I've known him, you know, for years, but I've never had the opportunity to work with him. And, you know, last week was certainly a pleasure. You know, everything went super. You know, we had a good run, and, you know, they got a good team. So it's a good opportunity for me.
His Busch team will try to run again next season no matter what happens. And if he continues to run so well in Winston Cup, something could develop there. Hensley knows that the odds are tough, but then again, so is he.
A lot of competitive people out there now, and everybody's looking to go Winston Cup. And, you know, I'm 45 right now, and, you know, I think as far as driving, I'm on top of my game right now. I've run as good this year as I ever have. And, but it's just hard. People are looking at a little younger people probably to get in Winston Cup. Well, they could have a few more years with them or something, but, you know, the right deal come along, we'd certainly consider it.
Well, Jimmy is in his 40s, and that could have some effect on him getting a top-notch ride in Winston Cup racing. But, hey, look at Harry Gant. He's 51 and still going strong, so Jimmy Hensley could have a lot of good years left. Now let's take a look at this week's Haviland Track Talk, which deals with scaling a race car.
This edition of Track Talk is brought to you by Haviland. Add more life to your car.
A Winston Cup car weighs 3,500 pounds, and it's the distribution of that weight that concerns crew members. All 4 corners of the car are constantly weighed, and it's critical for getting through the corners.
Teams might run 50-50 front to rear at some places, and it could get up to 53-54% front percentage. Your right side wheels will weigh about 750 on the right rear, 850 on the right front, and your left sides will be, say, 900 to 950 on the left rear and 950 to 1,000 pounds on the left front. That's probably at intermediate racetrack or something like that. So it's all, you can take those weights and move them around front to rear, but that'd be about average.
It's also about average that the weight of each team's race car is a closely guarded secret.
Yeah, you try to keep it secretive. In the family of friends and relatives and all that here in the racing community, when you're running good, everything's a secret, and when you're running bad, you're willing to give a little information and try to get a little information.
Two, three. Davey Allison believes. Mario and Michael Andretti believe. Don Prudhomme believes. For complete protection, you need a complete motor oil. Haviland Formula 3 motor oil.
Yeah. Where can you go on Goodyear Wrangler radials? Where can you go on Goodyear Wrangler radials? Just about anywhere you want. Put on a set of Goodyear Wrangler radials, and you'll know why we say the best tires in the world have Goodyear written all over them.
filtered. Miller Genuine Draft. For those who've discovered its real draft taste, the world is a very cool place.
You know, that Ara Parsegan is some guy. After years of touting Plastic Coat, now he's happy to share the spotlight with me. Ara's a real professional. He taught me everything he knows. How well Plastic Coat covers, how long it lasts, the huge variety, the high quality. There isn't a thing that he left out. I really like this idea of sharing the spotlight. How about you, Ara?
Garth Brooks says she could sell oil to the Arabs with her voice. Tricia Yearwood stars on stage at the Grizzly Rose in Denver, Tuesday on TNN.
The Mellow Yellow 500 isn't so mellow when Winston Cup stars heat up stock car racing's premier showplace, the Charlotte Motor Speedway. We'll have all the high-speed highlights as the season winds down for 1991.
And the All-Pro 300 will shine a spotlight on Kenny Wallace and Bobby Labonte as they continue their battle for the Busch Grand National Championship. You'll see which one comes out on top.
You'll also meet model builder David Canott. This young man's precision and skill enables his cars to go from the box to victory lane.
We've talked about the family ties in auto racing for many years, and I'll tell you, there are a lot of them. Take my family, for instance. Everybody knows that Dale Jarrett is a race driver, and his older brother, Glenn, was a race driver at one time. He now works for TNN on their telecast of auto races. Our daughter, Patty, she works in public relations in the sport for Rick Mast, and her husband, Jimmy Maycar, is a crew chief in Winston Cup racing. But I'll tell you, the family ties don't stop with the Jarrett family.
In the late 1950s, three-time champion Lee Petty turned the wheel over to son Richard. Little did he know that he'd become a king. And from that point on, they became known as the Racing Pettys. Over 30 years later, their family tree is deeply rooted in Winston Cup racing. Let's start with Kenny and Steve Wilson, engine builders and related to the Pettys.
Okay, you got Steve and Kenny Wilson. They're nephews to Maurice's wife, Patricia. And then, of course, you got Lee. Lee's got Maurice and Richard. Richard's got Kyle. And then, of course, Maurice and Patricia. Then there's Timmy Petty. And then, of course, somewhere down the line there, I'm a second cousin to Richard and Maurice, so that I don't know where that leaves me.
The Bakers are also abundant in the Winston Cup garage area. Of course, there's Buddy and his daddy, two-time Winston Cup champion, Buck. And then there is the youngest generation, Randy and Brandon. And then you have the Allisons, Bobby and his son, Davey. Oh, wait a minute, that's a long story. Let's hold that one. There's three-time champion Darrell Waltrip and his younger brother, Michael. What about the Bodines? Jeff, Brett, and now Todd. But that's not all. Brett's wife, Heidi, has a sister that's married to Donnie Richardson, crew chief for Kyle Petty's car. In fact, crew members probably have more relatives in racing than the drivers do.
Hi, I'm Mike B. I'm crew chief on Sterling Marlin's Maxwell House Ford, and I have a brother, Scott, that works on the Team 3 Pontiac.
Oh, it doesn't end there.
I'm Barry Dodson. I'm crew chief on the 24 car. My brothers work for me, John Dodson, Brad Dodson. I have an older brother, Bruce, who's, I guess, our #1 race fan. He works for UPS.
Barry also has a son that hangs around a lot. He doesn't do much, but he will. You also have the Parrots, Buddy and sons Brad and Todd. Richard Childress, car owner for Dale Earnhardt, has his brother Larry, who's a NASCAR official. Don't forget the Pearsons. There's David Pearson, Larry and Ricky, and now Shauna Robertson Pearson, who's married to Eddie. It wouldn't be right to leave out the Wood brothers. There's Leonard and his son, Len. And how about Glenn and Eddie? The 75 car has Barbara Healy and brother Dick. There are 3 Elliots, Bill, Ernie, and Dan. And 3 Wallaces, Rusty, Kenny, and middle brother Mike. All 3 are drivers.
I'm Lou LaRosa, chief engine builder for Car 24, Kenny Wallace. And I'm not from around these parts, and I'm not related to anybody down here at all.
That's okay, Lou. You're still family. Rusty's team has 2 more that are more than just mechanics. Father Ken Hammond and his son Max. Travis Carter employs his son Larry on the 98 car. And Waddell Wilson isn't the only engine builder in his family. There's also son Greg. And then you have the Bumgardners. Wayne now works with Waddell on the 5 car, and his brother Rick now works on the 12 car. And believe me, folks, this team takes the cake.
Okay, I'm Mike Basinger. I work for the 12 car, and I'm not related to anybody in racing, but I think the 12 car has got the record. We've got We've got 12 people working in our shop that are related to each other somewhere or another. We got Jimmy and Jeffrey Fenning, Keith, Earl, Herman, and Jeff Hallman, Doug and Scott Hewitt, and Bobby and Tom Kincaid, and Hutt and Donnie Allison and Davey Allison. And I'm sure there's a whole bunch more they won't tell us about.
Well, there are a bunch more family members in the Winston Cup garage area, and we can't name them all, but here's a few. Terry Labonte and Bobby Labonte and their father, Bob. Also, Chad Little, his dad, and Chad's brother. Not to mention Phil Parsons, Benny Parsons, Bud Moore, and his son, Greg, as well as Leo and Richard Jackson, and, well, you get the idea. Well, there may have been some family members that I missed in the Winston Cup garage area, and for that I apologize. But there were 2 members of my racing relatives that I couldn't miss, and that, of course, was my brother Robin, crew chief for Mark Martin, and my younger brother Ryan, who works for Davey Allison on Robert Yates' racing team.
Today's mailbox is brought to you by Miller Genuine Draft.
Our question this week comes from Paul and Sandy Henley of Limestone, Tennessee, who writes, how do the cooling system in a Grand National and Winston Cup cars differ from the cooling system in regular passenger cars, and how much water and coolant mixture is used? Well, Paul and Sandy, for that answer, we'll go to John Wilson, who's the engine builder on Kyle Petty's Pontiac.
Good question, Paul and Sandy. Thanks for writing in. The radiators that we use and the cooling system itself are very similar to what you've got in your street cars. Our radiator's a little bit bigger, and we do carry a little bit more coolant. As far as how much coolant we run, in the wintertime we'll run a 50-50 base antifreeze just like you do. Thanks for writing in.
If you have any race questions, you can write to us at Inside Winston Cup Racing, Box 240-417, Charlotte 28224. If we use your question on the air, you'll receive this embroidered Miller Genuine Draft jacket free. Fans 21 and under will receive an IWCR cap and T-shirt.
Well, everyone knew the time would come when Harry Gant's streak would end, but he put up a gallant effort. Our time's up for today. Hope you enjoyed the show, and you be sure to be with us here next week when we'll come to you from Charlotte Motor Speedway.
Today's show has been brought to you by Ford and your local Ford dealer, winning the world over with 1991 trucks that are built Ford tough. By Miller Genuine Draft, cold filtered for real draft taste. So get out of the old, get into the cold. By Goodyear, maker of the world's most successful tires, the Goodyear Eagles. And by Haviland Formula 3 Motor Oil. Add more life to your car.
This is TNN, the Nashville Network, the #1 source for country music, entertainment, and information.